Hey tribe, Shonda here. I will be guiding you through your beginner's practice today. We'll start today. We're going to start in a comfortable seat today. So just you can either come down to hero's pose, sitting with your hips or your sit bones connected to the heels, or you could sit up on a blanket or a block. Just allowing the hips to gently open up below, the knees to gently open up below the hips. Sitting up nice and tall, lifting through the crown of the head, allowing the shoulders to draw down the back. Feeling this nice connection all the way from the tailbone up through the crown of the head, creating space between each vertebrae. Allow the eyes to softly close. Begin to turn your attention inward. We're just noticing the breath as it draws in and out of the body. Staying with the breath and allow the thoughts of the mind to come and go. Maybe sending some gratitude for yourself and showing up today on your mat for your practice. Letting go of any to-do lists or hats you've already worn today. We're going to start out today's practice with a little bit of pranayama. We're going to start out with alternate nostril breathing, or not otherwise known as Nadi Shodhana. So you could take the pinky and the ring finger and cross them with the right hand, and then draw the pointer finger and the middle finger down in towards the hand and allow the thumb to come out wide. So if that doesn't feel comfortable for you, you can always just draw the 3 fingers in the middle down in the hand and kind of do this like Kalabunga type hand posture. But if it feels good, you can make this mudra with your hand and allow the thumb to come to the right nostril, plugging off the right nostril. Your left hand can be soft in the lap or alongside the body. And then take a nice deep inhale, inhaling all the way from the navel, in through the nose, the left side. Plug off the left side and exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Plugging off the right side, exhaling through the left. Inhale through the left. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Plugging off the right nostril, exhaling through the left. Inhaling through the left. Plugging off the left and exhaling through the right. Inhale through the right. Plugging off the right, exhaling through the left. Plugging off the left, inhaling through the right. Plugging off the right and exhaling through the left. Inhale through the left. Exhaling through the right. Go ahead and release the hand down to the left. Nice deep inhalation through the nose. Exhaling. Returning to the natural breathing. Finding your center. Noticing the balancing of the left and the right hemispheres of the brain. Balancing out. Nice balanced energy. Calm and centered. Good, you can softly open the eyes. Take a moment to lift through the crown of the head. If you're sitting up on a block, go ahead and release the block, coming down onto the sits bones. Excuse me, my allergies are a little flared up today. Let's switch the legs out. We're going for a little practice of centering and balancing today. So maybe it's your habit to have one foot in front of the other, or one foot on the top, one foot on the bottom. And let's just take a minute to switch that out and find, a little bit of difference in our normal everyday routines and habits, and just see what that feels like. Let's take a moment to draw the shoulders down and away from the ears. Lift up nice and tall through the spine. Going nice and long all the way through the crown of the head. Keep the abdomen, the low belly drawing in, lifting the pelvic floor muscles, zipping up the core. And let's take a moment to draw the right ear to the right shoulder, opening up the left side of the neck. Go ahead and release the left hand down to the mat. If it feels comfortable for you, you can gently draw the right hand and just gently rest it alongside, just above the ear. Just feeling that nice stretch and sensation. Breathing into the left side. Perhaps it maybe even would feel nice to walk the fingertips away from the body. It's really feeling and extending that stretch all the way down through the shoulder and through the left arm. Perhaps you even draw the fingertips up towards the sky. Noticing that nice stretch. Good, you can release the hand down to the mat, begin to walk it back towards center and draw the crown of the head up, back to neutral position. So take a moment here to inhale, lift and extend through the crown of the head. Now begin to draw the left ear over to the left shoulder. So feeling that stretch on the right side. Breathing into any areas of tension or holding. And again, perhaps if it feels good for you, you can bring the left hand or the left fingertips and gently rest them above the ear or on the head. Allow that right shoulder to draw down and away. Feeling that nice stretch. Maybe perhaps you begin to walk the right fingertips away from the body. Even drawing the chin out a little bit away from the chest. Pausing here for a few breaths. Draw the right fingertips up towards the sky if that feels good for your body. Good. Release the fingertips back down and then gently begin to walk the right fingertips in. Draw the head back to neutral center position. From here, we're going to draw the chin down towards the chest. So opening up the back of the neck here, the back of the head. Maybe take a moment to just gently rotate from side to side. Perhaps you even draw the shoulders down the back. Perhaps you interlace the fingers gently behind the head. Breathing into the back of the neck and the shoulder area. Keeping the core engaged here, feeling a nice stretch. Perhaps you play around a little bit with the posture. Be gently drawing the chin to the left and to the right. And finding some stillness. Use the head to press into the hands, creating opposition with the hands pressing towards the head without forcing. Good. Release the hands down by the side. Begin to lift the head back to neutral. From here, maybe just stretching out the sides of the neck once again. Just place the fingertips alongside the body, coming up, reaching towards the top of the mat or the front of the mat. Let's take a nice deep inhale. Press firmly through the fingertips and the hands, and then gently allow the gaze to come up towards the ceiling, reaching with the chin. So we're still keeping a little bend in the neck, the cervical spine. We're not dumping or dropping the head there. Feel this nice opening, this nice stretch. Expanding through the chest and the heart, opening up the front of the throat. Few breaths in and out there. Good, coming back to neutral. Let's take this time to bring the legs out nice and long on the mat. So sitting nice and tall, you can remove any flesh, allowing the sit bones to connect to the earth. Flexing the toes back towards the body, allow the palms of the hands to come to the sides. Draw the elbows in towards one another and begin to press firmly into the mat with the hands. So lifting up through the crown of the head, keeping the legs active. Finding ourselves in Dandasana, staff pose. Keep the core engaged and activated. Few breaths in and out here. Good. Release the hands down, the shoulders down. Let's take a moment just to point and flex the toes. Perhaps you shake the legs out a little bit. So from here, we're going to come into a wide-legged forward fold. So bring the legs up to this nice V-sit position. If you have a blanket, it's sometimes nice to place that right underneath the sit bones, allowing some height underneath the hips. Remembering to keep the quadriceps activated and drawing kind of outward. Also stretching the inner thighs and the groin area. Keep the toes flexed. And maybe a soft bend if you have a tendency to hyperextend through the knees. So do sit up nice and tall, maybe placing the fingertips in front of you, lifting up from the core, lifting the ribs. Allow the collarbones to spread to the left and to the right. Let's take a nice deep inhale here, and then as we exhale, we'll begin to gently walk ourselves forward. So we're finding this nice stretch on the inner thighs, perhaps even the outer hips, the upper glute area, the low back, the sacrum. So we're going to move through the chakras today. So maybe a little more gently or slower than normal. But just be gentle with yourself, be kind with yourself, allowing these energy centers to begin to open up, balance, and center out. Take a nice deep inhale, lengthen and extend, and then as you exhale, perhaps your body floats a little forward, down, deeper. Try to keep some length in that low lumbar spine. You don't want to round into the back and, just come right to, the floor or our toes. Let's work our way there nice and gently. This is a great posture for opening up the low back. Maybe you shift gently from side to side, finding some fluidity. So the sacral chakra is the chakra that houses our emotions, our sensuality, our reproductive organs. It's also great for creativity, fluidity. The element is associated with water and the color orange. So perhaps bringing any of that into your awareness, and imagine that energy center gently opening up. It's good to find some fluidity or fun, flow within our practice. It doesn't have to be so rigid. Allow yourself to find pleasure in the postures, in your practice. Finding joy within the experience. As you draw the low core up and inward, you perhaps reach the crown of the head forward a little more. So you may find that you have some extra space and you're able to come down onto the forearms. Perhaps you have a lot of extra space and you're nice and open. You can eventually get the abdomen down to the ground. But just feel what feels right for you. A nice deep inhale here. Lengthen through the chest, reach with the chin and the crown of the head, and then exhale. Soften down and forward. Keep the thighs engaged here. Toes are still flexed and activated. Low belly is drawing up and in, activating the pelvic floor muscles. Good. Place the palms of the hands onto the mat and then gently and slowly and kindly walk yourself back up to seated position. Draw the shoulders down the back. Use the hands to gently draw underneath the knees and assist the knees back up to center position. We'll take this time to draw the feet out in front of you. Perhaps the fingertips point towards the hips. So lifting up and out of the back, and then perhaps here, just windshield wipering the legs to the left and the right. Just feeling that nice massage on the outer hips, the low back. So feel free to move as slowly or as quickly as you'd like, but make sure that we're not trying to escape sensation. Perhaps you find some cracks and pops. It's just energy releasing. Trapped energy being released. Allowing pranic energy, breath energy to flow more fluid through the body. But finding some stillness here. We'll come into boat pose. So allowing the toes to press gently into the mat. So pressing firmly into the mat with the feet. Lift up through the crown of the head and gently place the fingertips behind the backs of the thighs or just below the knees. And then just begin to sit yourself up. So keep the chest and heart lifted and open. Crown of the head is still rising forward. Shoulders draw down the back. So you can be here with your boat pose. Try to keep some length in the spine. Really engaging the core muscles. So perhaps you're here in Navasana or boat pose. Perhaps you could draw the hands out alongside the body. Keep yourself nice and lifted here. Hugging in with the core. Perhaps you can extend the legs nice and long. I'm a bit shaky today. And coming into your boat pose here, but see how I started to round into the back, really draw the shoulders down and away. Keep lifted with the chest and the spine. Keep breathing here, nice and strong. Good, releasing down. Allow the feet to walk out onto the mat. From here, we're going to just gently walk ourselves down to the mat, coming onto the back body. So we moved up to the solar plexus, where our nerves all meet, where our fire is created, our passion, our willpower. And from here, we're going to draw the hands gently behind the neck, interlacing the fingers. Let's draw the knees up, lifting them up nice and tall. Let's keep the feet pointed, or I guess you could keep them flexed. I feel like it's nice to have them pointed here. So gently place the hands on the back of the neck, engage that low belly. Take a nice deep inhale, lengthen and extend, and then as we exhale, begin to lift through the core. So we're not using the neck muscles, we're not using the hands. We're using all the strength of our core here. So from here, there's a breath technique, which we call the breath of fire. So you breathe rapidly in and out through the nose. Feel free, if you're not comfortable with this technique, to continue normal deep yogic breathing. Otherwise, go ahead and begin into the breath of fire. So you'll go. Good. Draw the palms of the hands behind you and gently lower yourself back down. Nice and strong here. Perhaps the knees shift to the left and to the right. Finding a little fire within the belly. From here, let's draw the legs out nice and long on the mat. We'll shift the hands gently down by our sides and then begin to draw the elbows together. So lifting up gently, or we're going to move on to fish pose. So know here that you can also take a supported fish. So the block could be on its lowest level here. And gently place alongside the back, crown of the head reaches down towards the mat. So you can be here in supported fish. So knowing that this is a nice heart opener. You can have the block on any level. If you don't have a block available, you can just do your best to draw the shoulders together, the elbows together, and really lifting up through the chest and the heart. Opening up the front of the throat. Crown of the head is shifting down towards the mat. Good. From here, slowly release. Back down. If you're in supported fish, you can just gently walk yourself back up. And we will make our way onto our hands and knees here. So from here, we're going to shift down all the way onto our abdomen. Drop the tops of the feet onto the mat. Press into the mat with all 10 toes. Spread the fingertips nice and wide. Shoulders drawing down the back and away from the ears, elbows hugging together. So take a nice deep inhale here. And opening up the heart, the front of the throat here for Cobra Pose. Find your breathing. Good. Now if it's in your practice and you feel like you have the space or enough warming up in the spine, you can extend through the arms, straightening into the arms, coming into upward facing dog. So from here, if you're in up dog, I encourage you to keep pressing the toes and the tops of the feet into the mat. Try to lift the thighs up off of the mat if possible. Keep the core engaged, the legs engaged. Good. Release the knees down. Allow yourself to come all the way down to the mat, keeping the elbows hugging inward. Go ahead and release the arms down by the sides. Allow the crown of the head, the third eye, the forehead to meet the mat. Just gently resting and relaxing here for a moment. Good. From here, feel free to keep the arms alongside the body. And then gently begin to inhale, reaching through the toes, coming into locust pose. So feel free to keep the forehead on the mat here if you wish. Otherwise, you can also lift through the heart and the chest. Nice, strong breathing here. Use the breath to have the pranic energy flow through the body and assist you with your postures. Good. Releasing down. Go ahead and let the right cheek come towards the mat. Gently resting and relaxing here. Good. Take a moment to come back through center, resting the left cheek on the mat this time. Good. Draw the palms of the hands directly below the shoulders alongside the breastbones. And use the strength of the core and the arms to sit the hips back to the heels for a child's pose. So here in child's pose, keep the shoulders plugged in to the shoulder sockets, fingertips spread nice and wide. Forehead meeting the mat or a block. Reach the tailbone down towards the heels, down towards the mat. Good. Coming in to tabletop position. Find that nice strong foundation here. Spread the fingertips nice and wide. Press firmly through the pads of the fingers. Lengthen through the tailbone. Man, my words are all mixed up today. Tailbone, and reach the crown of the head forward. Draw the inner elbows, drawing towards one another, so a slight micro bend in the arms. Keep the shoulders plugged in. Draw the core in. Take a moment to gently look between the legs, making sure you can't see your toes or your feet. Keep them nice and activated. Pressing away from the mat. Building up strength here. Gaze is just a few inches in front of you. From here, the knees will be about hip distance apart. Go ahead and press firmly into the fingertips and extend through the left leg. So heel coming out about hip height. Make sure that the left foot is flexed. Toes are pointing down towards the mat. And see if your weight has shifted over to the right. Try to keep it nice and strong, hips squared off to the mat. Once you've found that nice strengthening foundation here, press firmly through the left hand. Keep the core nice and tight. Extend through the right arm. Palm facing inward, everything reaching and extending nice and long with your inhalation. And exhalation. Whole body engagement here. Good. Release the hands down to the mat. Knee comes back down to the mat. And gently shift the hips to the left and to the right. Perhaps you stretch out the left wrist. Keeping the core nice and tight engaged as you grow stronger through your core. You'll also find that you may have less pressure into the wrist joints. So now find that nice foundation here in your tabletop position. Begin to press firmly through the right hand. And inhale, lengthen and extend through the left foot. Nope, my bad, other side. So extend through the right foot, keeping the hips nice and square off the top of the mat. Gaze is gently a few inches out in front of you, making sure that the hips are square. Inhale, lengthen and extend through the left fingertips. Right leg is about hip height, so we don't want to overextend or overarch the back. Keep that core, belly button hugging up and in towards the spine. Each inhalation lengthening all the way from the heel out through the fingertips. And exhale, releasing it down. But again, shake the hips to the left and to the right here. Good, spread the knees nice and wide on the mat. Gently sit the hips back to the heels. And walk the hands out in front of you, coming into a more passive child's pose, wide-legged child's pose. Breathing into the front of the hip flexors, the low back. That sacral area once again. So with the sunbird posture we just worked some more in with some balancing and centering, and also worked into the solar plexus, our core, where we create fire and digestion, passion, another source of creation. And our inner strength. Allow that to rest and open up. Now feeling into the sacral area. And from here, coming to center. If you're resting one cheek or another onto the mat. And then begin to gently come back up towards tabletop. Draw the knees in together, again about hip distance apart. And then just begin to walk the hands forward. Keep the hips nice and lifted. We're going to make our way down into puppy dog pose. So opening up the heart and the chest, the armpits. Moving into the heart area, Namaste Chakra. Breathe in and create space around the heart. Perhaps you'd like to move a little deeper. If you would, you feel like you have the capacity, you could always bend into elbows. So making this prayer position gently behind the head. This is a little deeper opening through the front of the armpits, the underneath of the armpits, the shoulders, perhaps the chest and the heart. Hands down the front of the mat. Gently walk yourself back up to tabletop position. Let's sit the hips back to the heels, coming into hero pose. Allow the sit bones to connect to the heels, sitting up nice and tall. And then from here, we're going to place the hands behind us. Fingertips facing towards the top of the mat. Let's press away from the mat with the hands and lift through the chest, the heart, and allow the throat to open up. Chin lifts. Head draws down. Keeping a nice lift and opening though in the front of the chest, the heart, and the throat. Perhaps here you start to play around with the jaw, up to the sky. Jutting the teeth, the lower teeth out. Good, walking yourself back up to hero position. From here, let's come on to our hands and our knees. Gently tuck the toes under. Press firmly into the mat with the pads of the fingers and press away from the mat with the hands. And gently draw the hips up and back for your downward facing dog. So here in down dog, press firmly away from the mat with the hands. Allow the shoulders to spread wide, biceps in line with the ears. Lift the low ribs. Extend between each vertebrae, creating space and length. Perhaps you have a soft bend in your knees so you can really lift the hips and that tailbone up towards the sky. Draw the low abdomen up and inward. Drawing the Mula Bandha up and in. So you have whole body alignment here through the chakra centers. Two more breaths in and out here. Keep the thighs nice and engaged. Good. Looking up the top of the mat. Let's walk our feet forward, coming into our Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, lifting up halfway, shoulders drop down the back, crown of the head pointing forward. Exhale, folding forward. Allow the hands to hang heavy. Crown of the head reaching towards the floor. Shift the weight more towards the tops of the feet. Keep pressing through the backs of the heels. Good. Perhaps you sway the head from side to side. Shake the head yes. Shake the head no. Good. Inhale, press firmly through the feet. Draw the arms up and above the head, coming up to extended Tadasana. Inhale, draw the palms of the hands together, reach nice and tall, shoulders draw down, and perhaps a slight back bend. So shift the hips, point the hips forward, keep the core engaged. Nice gentle back bend here. Good. Hands come down together in a heart center. Maybe you shift from front to back, finding your nice strong foundation. Allow the feet to come out to hip distance. Let's inhale, reach and extend through the arms. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, lifting halfway. And exhale, folding forward once again. Let's release the palms of the hands to the mat. Step both feet back. You can step the left and the right, coming into top of a push-up or plank position. Keep the elbows slightly in towards one another, a slight micro bend. Press out through the heels. Crown of the head is reaching forward. Abdomen is drawing up and in. Nice and strong here. Let's take breath of fire for another 35 or 30. Ready? Go. If you need to release the knees down, go ahead. Good. Sit the hips back to the heels. Come into your child's pose. Good, inhale up through tabletop. Shift the hips forward, draw the elbows in towards the ribs, coming all the way down onto our chest. Elbows hug inward, shoulder blades drop towards one another. Inhale, lifting up for cobra or up dog. Exhale, release the forehead down. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, releasing all the way down. Keep the elbows hugging in towards one another. Take a moment to draw the hands out to the side. So bringing the hands into cactus arms. So again, you can allow, you can rest your forehead on a block here. Just open up the fronts of the shoulders. If you don't have a block, that's okay too. Just begin to press down with the hands. Creating some opposition and resistance. Let's take the fingers and interlace them behind the head, the back of the head. Right where the nape of the neck meets the crown of the head. So from here, let's take a nice deep inhale. Press firmly into the tops of the feet and the toes, and let's inhale, lift ourselves up. Press the head into the hands, hands into the head. Good, release yourself down. Draw the palms of the hands next to the breastbones, directly below the shoulders. Elbows draw in. Take a nice deep inhale. Begin to press the hips back to the heels, coming into child's pose once again. From here, I would like you to draw the hands alongside the body. So we're coming into a more passive child's pose here. And then begin to shift the body a little forward, coming onto the crown of the head. Tuck the toes under, grab a hold of the backs of the feet. Coming into rabbit pose. So really rounding into the back. Good, release down. Let's make our way onto our backs. Slowly lowering yourself down, so perhaps the soles of the feet press firmly into the mat. Use the strength of the arms and core to slowly draw vertebrae by vertebrae down onto the mat. Hug the knees into your chest. Give yourself a great big hug, perhaps gently rocking to the left and to the right, extending through the tailbone. Really reaching that thoracic spine, the low back. Good. Perhaps finding some stillness here. Let's take a moment to draw the hands out to the side, again coming into cactus arms. Take a nice deep inhale. Draw the knees a little bit further away from the body and cross the right knee over the left. From here, take this nice deep inhale. Release the legs down to the mat, keeping this nice twist or legs crossed. Take a nice deep inhale. And then as you exhale, begin to draw the knees over towards the left side. Really slowly and gently. Perhaps the gaze comes out over the right elbow, softening into the outer right hip. Two more breaths here. Good inhale, draw the core in. Allow the knees to come back to center. Uncross the right knee from the left. Readjust the hips. And then drawing the left knee over the right. Let's draw the knees in towards the chest just briefly. Just opening up the outside of the left thigh. Good, release the feet, or the right foot back down to the mat. Keep the left knee crossed over the right. Inhale, finding some space. And then as you exhale, draw the knees over towards the right. Slowly and gently. Breathing into the outside of the left hip. The IT band. Perhaps the gaze gently comes over the left elbow. Finding your deep breath, bringing out the internal organs. Good, inhale, coming back to center. Uncross the left knee from the right. Adjust the hips back towards center. And then just gently rocking the knees from side to side. Take a moment to find some space and time. Walk the feet out towards the outer edge of the mat so the knees will come nice and wide here. You can keep the arms in cactus position. And let's gently shift the knees over to the right. So we're coming into this nice opening on the left front of the hip flexor. Through the quadriceps. If you find any pressure within the knee, make sure to keep the toes flexed. You can also draw that left leg a little bit closer to the body or rest it on a block. Good, inhale, coming back to center. And then shifting the knees over to the left. Perhaps the head comes out to the right, or the gaze comes out to the right. See where you can soften into the posture. Creating space around any edginess. Let go of any tension or excess holding. Each exhaling breath. Back to center neutral with an inhale. Heel toe the feet together. Draw the knees into the chest. Draw the tailbone down in towards the mat as you press the knees into the hands, hands into the knees, shoulders pressing into the mat. Good. From here, spread the knees nice and wide. Perhaps you grab a hold of the inside of the ankles or the outside of the ankles. Perhaps coming into butterfly position. Supine butterfly. Or draw the heels or feet up towards the ceiling, coming into happy baby. Feels really great for me. So drawing the knees down towards the mat, tailbone still drawing down and away from the body down towards the mat. Perhaps you grab a hold of the big toes with the peace fingers, thumb presses into the big toenail. Perhaps you extend through the heels and the legs, coming out nice and wide. Good, coming back to center. Release the legs long out on the mat. Heels come to the outer edges. Feet fall out to the left and to the right. Gently tuck the shoulder blades under, opening the chest and the heart. Palms open. Fingers gently resting and relaxing. Allowing the back body to sink deeper into the mat with each progressive inhalation and exhalation. Finding yourself in your final resting pose, Shavasana. Feel free to remain in this pose for up to 11 minutes or longer, integrating your practice, sending yourself love and gratitude for showing up on your mat today, showing up for yourself, your body, your vessel, your mind, your spirit, whatever is calling to you. Namaste, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.